All right, well, it looks like most everybody is logged in now, so we'll go ahead and get started with tonight's training. Or I say tonight, I'm in Georgia, so it's the evening for me. It may be in the afternoon wherever you're located. But regardless of where you're located, we're glad to have you. So thank you, everyone, for joining our first OmegaRecruit training webinar for this summer. My name is Heather McLeod, and I am with OmegaFi's Professional Services team, and I have with me today Sarah Beth Russell, who will be doing your training. Before to our training today, and I will go ahead and turn it over to Sarah Beth to get started.
Hi guys, Sarah Beth here. I'm going to be going over the OmegaRecruit software today with you guys. For our agenda, today we're just going to go over some tips for successful recruitment, as well as we're going to talk about guys login and account setup, and then we're going to go through the main menu and features, as well as look at the voting and reporting, and at the very end we'll have a Q&A for you guys. Okay, so to ensure successful recruitment, you want to make sure you're being proactive and preparing beforehand. So a few ways you can do that is to make sure your members are getting logged in. We do suggest that at least 1 week before recruitment, you want to make sure all of your members are able to log in to OmegaRecruit. And in the next few slides, we'll show what those emails are going to look like. And then we suggest practice. So there's practice files within OmegaRecruit that are going to help you get familiar with all the functionality and how to actually run through the recruitment process. And you can try that with, your rounds and your parties to really get a feel for how that's going to look when actual recruitment comes. And using the training information available to you. You guys are here for the webinar tonight. We also have in-app help and some FAQs that you can look at, articles that will really have a lot of different answers to questions on there. And of course, we have our support email as well. Okay, so for the activation email, this is what you're going to receive as an admin to go ahead and set up your OmegaRecruit account. You will just follow this and it's going to take you in. You'll choose your recruitment dates and get everything set up and good to go. And then for your users, they are going to get an email that looks like this. So when you actually go into the system and add your users, they will receive an email like this here. If they previously have used OmegaRecruit for recruitment, like they previously logged in, what they'll do is they'll click to get started, use whatever email and password they used before, and they'll be able to get logged back in. If they have never used OmegaRecruit before, they'll go ahead and click the link and set up their account, and then they'll be able to use that moving forward. So we know things get really hectic during recruitment, so we want to keep it as simple as possible. So we've broken it down into 3 phases today. We're going to add your rounds, upload your Pnms, and then upload you guys' parties. So when you first sign into OmegaRecruit, you're going to see this setup page here. The page is going to walk you through each of the steps to set up your chapter for recruitment. And then as you can see here, we provided practice files for you on this page as well. That way you can run through practice recruitment with fake data prior to the real deal. We don't recommend practicing with actual recruitment data, so we provided these files for you, and you can adjust them how you need, but you can just download them by clicking on each one of them. And then each of the steps are numbered and have a clickable link to take you to that page within OmegaRecruit in order to complete those. And you can also go to each of those pages from the menu on the left-hand side here. But we're going to go ahead and start with step 1, setting up our rounds. So as you can see, this takes us directly to our edit rounds page. We're going to use the add round button here to set this up. Today, we're going to be doing 4 rounds. As you can see, the preference banner is always going to push to your last round. And then for each round, you can click on the pencil icon here to change the name of that round. So we're going to have an open house round, sisterhood, philanthropy, and we'll just name this one press. And you can also adjust the rounds between open voting and party voting. So open voting means that all the Pnms are going to be available on the ballot for members to choose from. So if you use party voting, this is going to separate the Pnms out into parties they'll be visiting your chapter in. This is going to just limit the Pnms available on the ballot. It's going to save your members time finding the correct Pnm when they're going to vote. You'll still want to make sure you select the exact number of parties, though, that your round's going to have. Since we're using the practice files today, open house is going to have 12 parties, and for sisterhood, we're going to have 9 parties, and then the other 2 will leave as open voting. And we're going to save this. And I do just want to make a note here. If your parties stretch over multiple days, but they're still under the same round, then you're only going to want to set up one round for that. You can close the voting at the end of each day and reopen it, but you'll set up just the one round. And multiple days that the rounds are stretching across, you'll just want to make sure you're still only doing one round for that. And we're going to go back to the setup page here. As you can see, step 1 has disappeared from that. And now we're going to move to step 2. So as you do your steps, they will clear off of this. When we click on step 2, it's going to take us to the upload Pnm page here. This is going to look a little different depending on your school. If your campus uses ICS, you can actually connect to ICS and import those members. It'll have a button that just says import from ICS. If your campus uses Campus Director, you'll have to download the file of your Pnms from Campus Director and then upload it here. If you do use ICS, you still have the ability, though, to run through your practice recruitment. You just have to make sure you're disconnected from ICS first. Then you can upload your practice files. We'll look at later how you can disconnect from ICS in order to do that. To assist with the upload, we do have detailed instructions here on what that file needs to look like. So really, it needs to look exactly like it's pictured here. Any special formatting can get in the way of the system being able to read the data from your file. You don't want to have any type of bolding or highlighting, sorting filters. Your file should be really just as plain as possible. The headers of each column are very important, and they need to match exactly what's listed. If they don't match one of the options, the system may not accept the file, or that data may not be successfully uploaded for that column. For example, a common mistake we see is for the picture column. You can see that is either listed as URL or Pnm picture. It means if you upload it just as picture or Pnm URL, any other variation, the pictures aren't going to successfully upload. We do include the option for custom columns as well. If you have any data you want to include, but there's not a designated header for that, you can label the column custom 1, custom 2, and etc. And later you'll be able to change that in the software once the data has been uploaded, and I'll show you on that page when we get to it. And then if we scroll down here, you can see this is how you're going to need to save the file, this Excel 97-2003 workbook, or as an XLS. This is important, and it can prevent your file from being successfully uploaded if it's not saved this way. I'm going to go ahead and pull the file here. So right here, the little green box is going to pop up whenever that successfully occurs. And you can see here, we are missing a column, but it's not required. So we don't have to worry about that, but always just look for that green box once you've uploaded that to make sure it was successful. And we're going to go ahead and go back to the Pnm list. Now you can see all your Pnms are uploaded in here. And if we look back at the setup page, step 2 is gone from that. Step 3 is also missing from that. That's because we already have users uploaded for our purposes. So your step 3 is going to be uploading your members, which we'll go through when we walk through the menu options. But for now, we're going to go ahead and skip to step 5, which is uploading your Pnm parties. This is another page that may look slightly different if you're connected to ICS. If you have that, you'll have the button that says import from ICS, same as with your upload your Pnms. If your campus uses Campus Director, you'll have to download the file from Campus Director and upload it here. This particular file is a lot less complicated than the Pnm file. You just have to have the MIN and the party number. If you're downloading it from Campus Director, it's going to have a lot more information, so you'll just have to clean up that file. Again, you'll also want to make sure the plain file and it's saved as the Excel 97-2003 workbook. Once you've updated the file and uploaded it, you can select the round that we're uploading that for. Make sure that when you are uploading your file, every single Pnm is listed in a party. If you don't have a Pnm assigned to a party, it's going to update to an inactive status or status of regret. So we're going to go ahead and upload this file here. As you can see, it was successful. We're going to go back to the Pnm list. Now, moving forward, steps 4 through 7 are going to stay on this page, and that's because you're going to repeat them throughout the process. You'll continue to advance your rounds, upload your parties, collect votes, and manage your Pnm. So these steps are going to stay on the page. Now that we've reviewed setting up your chapter for recruitment, we're going to go through the menu items over here. So first, starting with the Pnm list, what we're on right now, and then also everything that we've gone through on the setup page can be found in this left side as well. You can always go back to the setup page with this little icon up in the left or the top area here, and then close it out here, and it'll take you to your Pnm list. So the Pnm list is your primary hub of information for admins. This is where you can review all your Pnms, their information, their scores. If we click on this little hamburger icon over here, we have a few different options. So the refresh and recalculate options are going to make sure you have the most up-to-date information and scores. If you select export Pnm list, it's going to export the report of all the Pnm information. And if you choose select columns options, you can see all the columns that can show on the list. So you can select and deselect here. I want to make sure I have what we're looking at today, the start, the admin notes. I'm going to go ahead and make sure we have our MIN as well. And make sure we have our hometown. And let's see, do we have interest? Perfect. So as you can see, as you choose or deselect columns, they will pop into this report. So you can actually move columns around. So if we wanted to have the overall score before the party, we can click, you can move multiple at a time, wherever you're wanting to locate those to. Wanted to put the admin notes before the interest. Okay, and then if we want to add information to the admin notes, we can just double click on that. And so if we wanted to say this member graduated early from high school, we can add that note, and then same with interest. Another option, if double click in the green space and it'll show the picture URL. If you ever need to add or change the picture, you can double click on that. Most campuses are going to provide that. If one's not available though, you can get it from online as long as you right click on the image and copy the image address, then paste the URL. So just make sure it's the image address and not the URL for the page that the picture is located. If you plan on using the starred feature, you would just double click on the star next to the member's name. And this is going to help with your matching process, which we'll review later. You can also rearrange the columns if you need to. Like I showed earlier, you can move those around, But if you do refresh the page, the columns will go back to their original places. At the top, you'll see that you can search and sort the Pnm list. So here we can search if we wanted to search by freshman. Even though the freshman, like the class column isn't showing, it's going to pull all members who are have freshmen in one of their columns. So just be careful with this search item. If freshman is listed in admin notes or interest anywhere, it could still pull that member even if that is not their class. So you can always use this icon to look for advanced search options as well to narrow that down. You can also sort either through this right here or by clicking on the column you want to sort by. So we can sort it by the party they're in, and now everybody is listed by which party they are going to be in attendance. And going back to this hamburger menu here, we're going to look at the slideshow. This is an in-browser slideshow. So this is actually going to show anyone who is in that Pnm list. So if you search by freshman, then only the freshmen that pulled into that list are going to be on the slideshow. And you'll just use your arrow keys to tab through that. As you can see, it shows you each of the Pnms listed, and then this little menu icon here, you can select and deselect various columns if you don't want to see them or if you want to add something. And then if you wanted to print this, you can click the P key on your keyboard and it will turn the page blue here. And then you can right click and print. Make sure you do the print preview and make sure that the page, everything is fitting on that, because sometimes you're going to have to adjust the scale. And then to exit, you'll just hit escape. And now we're going to look at add Pnm over here. This is if you want to manually add a Pnm one at a time. The only information you'll need for this is the MIN, the Pnm first name, and their last name. And you can add them individually. On this upload Pnm page, we looked at this earlier. You can always upload more Pnms no matter where you're at in the recruitment process. If you're uploading additional Pnms, the system is only going to add Pnms that have an MIN that is not already on that Pnm list. This will ensure that only new Pnms are added and there aren't duplicate Pnms. You're not going to lose any data from this process or duplicate anybody by uploading it multiple times. So if you have 5 new members or Pnms that come into the process late, you can upload that whole entire file again, and it's only going to add those 5 new girls. Going back to the upload party page, we went through this page earlier, but each round you're going to return to this page to upload your next round of parties. So for here, we can upload the sisterhood parties. And you can always resubmit the party file as well. It's going to override anything previously. So if we had any changes in that, you can just re-upload that file. And then also same with in ICS, if any members are moved, you can just redo your import for that information and it will pull in whatever party the girl has now been moved to. Okay, and then from here, we're gonna look at the matching page. This is showing where you can generate matches. This isn't a primary function of OmegaRecruit, but it can help sort through data in OmegaRecruit to determine which members should speak to each of the Pnms that are going to be visiting during each round. So there's 4 criteria that you can use to generate potential matches. Recommendations, those are submitted by members on the ballot. So starred, and then you have your starred members and Pnms. So we showed how to star the Pnms earlier. And when we go to the users, we'll show you how you can star those as well. And you have interests and hometowns. If you use this feature, when your users get logged in, you'll want to make sure that they are filling out their member profile in totality. That way, there's a better chance of them matching with Pnms because they have that information in there. Now, as you can see, there is this required box over here. And for that, if you click on the required box, what's going to happen there is it's going to require the recommendation in order for the match to generate. So even if they have the same hometown, if there is no recommendation, then a member in Pnm will not match. So just be careful with using that. If you want it required, just know that that's what's going to happen when you do that. At the bottom here, you can also see you can max the number of your matches per member and Pnm. This can go from 1 to 500. Now, we do suggest doing anywhere between like 2 and 5, but if you have a bigger school, you may need more matches. It's just going to be more information for you to go through. And then here you can choose what round you want it to be from, and I'm just going to do all parties, and we can generate matches. Okay, so here are the matches that generated. You can see, and you can see how. So they have a common interest here as soccer. And then if we want to remove a match, we can click on that here and select to delete it. Or if you want to add a match that's not already listed, you can select the member and the Pnm you want them to match with and save that. Once you add and delete any of your matches, you can then export that in an Excel or PDF from here. And then on this page, if you ever just need a report of the members who made recommendations, you can just deselect these here and generate the matches from there. So that didn't have any because we haven't done any voting, but if you did, you would just have those who had been recommended. Now we're going to go on to look at various different reportings. You have comments reporting, rec reporting. That's if you use the option where alum can submit a recommendation. We're going to go ahead and skip to the report page here. Okay, under the Pnm reports, this is going to show you a summary of the Pnms and their scores. This is going to be a really good report to start your list at the end of each round. You can select that to include active Pnms, and if you want to include comments, we're going to select both and go ahead and download that file to see what it's going to look like. Okay, so this is what that's going to look like for you there. When you're seeing these -1s, all that means is that they haven't had any votes submitted for the Pnm yet for that round, but this is what that report is going to look like for you guys. Then we're going to look at the votes. There's a few options for this. You can use to show the exact votes that have been submitted, including who submitted them and what the values for each of those votes were. The comments, this is just going to export all the comments, and then we have the Slideshow tab. It's similar to the in-browser one, but this is going to download it into a PowerPoint, which some people prefer that format. It's not going to have as much information on it though. On the voter distribution tab, that's going to show an overall distribution report that can show trends for the chapter as a whole. We also offer this information for the individual Pnms and users in the case you want to see that broken down. We saw the Pnm report earlier, and we'll see the user report shortly. Distribution reports can just help you to better analyze and understand the data and trends behind the votes that are being submitted. Okay, looking at the users, we can go to the user list here. We see this is where you can manage your admins, your starred members, you can delete members on this screen here. So as we see, these are the members who are starred. That's how we generated matches, as well as if you have any members who are having issues logging in, you can send them a registration email. So for this member in particular, they have not signed in yet, so we can resend them that registration email. Or if they have signed in, you can send them a password reset if they're not able to access their account. Adding users, you can do this individually or with an Excel file. The Excel file would just be, each line would be an email address. Once you add the users, the email that we looked at earlier that they receive to register, they will receive that once they're added to the system. And then here is where they can pull the user report with this information listed. And then when I talked about the user distribution, you can look at that for the individual user under this screen here. So there's several different things, and we'll look at this when we put in some votes later. We also have a hub. This is going to show graphs of key data points. With any of these graphs, you click on the little arrow at the bottom here. It's just going to flip it over and show you where the data points are coming from. And you can even export that information. This is just another way to review the data on a deeper level and make the most of the information that's available. This vote here, this is going to be what the members use. As an organization administrator, you're not going to be able to cast votes, but your members will use this to access the ballot. So previously we were on the chapter tab. This is going to be where you manage your voting rounds, and you can advance your parties here. So we can go ahead and open up voting for open house. Earlier when I said you can close that. So let's say you only make it through 6 parties in the first night and you want to close the voting for the rest of the night, you can do so to make sure that votes aren't still coming in throughout the night. So you can close it off after each party and still reopen it the next day to be in that same round. Oh, we're going to keep it on open house. Again, this is where you edit your rounds. The edit chapter is where you can put in your recruitment dates. Here is where you can manage those custom columns we talked about when uploading your Pnms. So this is where you would change the names on those. ICS info, this is where you can connect and disconnect from ICS. So if you're an ICS school, this is where you can come to disconnect it to do your practice and reconnect for recruitment before it starts. And then we also have the master reset, a little different than the one we do in the summer. This is just going to remove any practice information that you used before recruitment, or if you do recruitment in the spring and you need to clear it out before, if you do recruitment in the spring and you need to clear out fall recruitment information, you can use this. And the thing about this one that is different from the big one we do during the summer, this is not going to change your user list. So all your users are still going to be able to log in. This is just going to wipe that information so you can start fresh. We have also moved the configuration page. So the configuration page is just going to show any details regarding your specific organization's voting if you have that. So if you have a configuration page for your organization, it will show as your organization's name right here. On this tab, or on the next tab we're going to look at is training. This is going to show a pretty detailed walkthrough, including screenshots of setting up your chapter in OmegaRecruit. Also, the support email is right here at the top. And if you don't find what you're looking for on this page, you can always go to the Help Me tab. This has a bunch of FAQs regarding setting up rounds, logging in, editing and adding Pnms. This is going to further aid you, and you can also search up here. So if you're looking at something for your Pnms, this is going to pull various different articles you can look at for that. Most information you need is going to be on one of these two pages. But if after looking at that, you are still not finding what you need, you can select the Get Help button. And from here, you can submit a request. And this is going to send an email to OmegaRecruit. So if we select this, you can put all your information in and request your priority. So there's different priorities here, and those will be during recruitment season. That email is going to be monitored around the clock, so you guys will have that resource. So make sure that you're looking through the information within OmegaRecruit, and if you can't find it, we do have this available for you. Any information you can provide when submitting these requests is going to be helpful. So if you're thinking there's a bug with the system and something's going on with the screen, you can submit a screenshot, whatever it needs to be. The more information you provide, the better our support team is going to be able to assist you with that. Okay, so next we are going to go to voting. So we went ahead and advanced the party round here, and we're going to look at what that's going to look like from the member side. So when your member logs in, once you've opened the voting, they're going to be able to see the ballot as so. The voting scale does vary from organization to organization, so not everybody's ballot will necessarily look exactly like this, but this is what you're going to typically see. From here, you can select the Pnm you want to look at. You can even choose the light bulb icon and see more information. Choose a little file to go back, and then your member can select a vote. They can make a comment, and they can even do a recommended match, and they can submit that. So just for some votes, I'm going to submit a few here for some data to pull in. And as you can see, this is a really short list. That's because it's only showing me the girls who are in party 1. And then when we go back to our Pnm list here, I might have to do a hard refresh. There we go. So you can see your total votes over here. And now those scores are pulling into your overall. Depending on your organization's voting, this overall score is going to calculate differently for everyone. Okay, so we can view voting activity in a few different places. So like we see here, we can look at that, and we can even click on the Pnm and look at the vote details. We can see who voted, what they voted, and you can also edit that from here. You can see if they've made any comments as well under this tab. Status and party, their details, as well as their recruitment stats breakdown. And if you ever need to change or edit that, like I said, you can do that here, or you can do that under your user list and then go to the particular user that made the vote. You can see the vote, edit that from here. One note regarding the voting, the system doesn't keep track of who edits the vote, so just please do so with extreme caution in order to keep the integrity of the members' votes, because that information does not have a log. So you just want to be careful when changing, make sure that votes are coming in as they should, rather than having to go through and make too many edits. So that is the overview of the system today. So just to go over for recruitment, best way to set yourself up for success in that is make sure all your members are able to log in. Make sure you guys are doing your practice and use the resources that are available to you for training. These are upcoming webinars that we are going to have. Also going to the system, same thing. So if you attended this one, if you do want to attend another one, you're more than welcome to. And then here we have listed as well the in-app support and the email support. And Heather, I believe you are going to close this out with Q&A. So if anybody has any questions still outstanding, definitely let us know in the question box.
Yes, thank you, Sarah Beth. I think I've answered most of the questions. There was one here that I actually don't know the answer to. So if you don't, then we'll send a follow-up email. But Stephanie had a question about bump groups. And let me get that pulled back up here. It was about, let's see, I got it here. Can the group number be a bump group number, and can the group numbers be used in matching to match to bump groups?
I would say, so bump groups aren't necessarily like kept in the system. It's more a record that the chapter keeps. So I would say if you're matching members based on certain interests or things of that sort, and you have those bump groups set up, if someone is not within that bump group, but a member thinks that they should talk to them, the best way to do that would be to put a recommendation. But within the system, there is not a place where you can like record that. For the matching specifically, it only has the criteria that are listed. So you can, again, recommendations would be really the only way to pull it into that reporting.
Thank you very much. All right, so then a few more questions have come in. Sarah Beth Jen from Lily is, can we do the practice recruitment more than once? That's a good question. And I know the answer to that is yes, and we actually encourage it.
Yes, yeah, definitely. You can, that master reset button, you can go through that as many times as you want. So if you clear the system, you can basically start from scratch and go through practice as much as you want. If you guys have like multiple workshops over the summer that you're doing and you want to do one for each workshop, you can do that each time. So it's as many times as you want to do it, you can go through that.
Gotcha. Yes, great question. We like Sarah Beth was saying earlier, we encourage the practice. We have another question from Cody about they are a campus director school and want to know how to connect their account. And I believe the answer to that is that we don't have an integration with campus director, so they would need to download a file and import. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah. So that detailed information with the Excel file and the columns you need, you would just download the information from your Pnms from Campus Director and adjust the file for upload, and then you can upload it into the system accordingly. Yeah, unfortunately, we don't have that integration with Campus Director, but you can upload the files and it'll pull the Pnms just the same.
Hunter asked, she said that they have some members that are having issues with the app. They can log into the browser, but not the app. Is there a reason for that? I'll attempt to answer, Sarah Beth. If you have anything else to add, let me know. I would say to just confirm that they're able to get in through the browser and they know for sure what their username and password is. And then they may need to maybe delete the app and reinstall it and then try to log in again that way. Would you add anything else to that, Sarah Beth?
Yeah, something common that login support sees a lot is we do have a few different softwares and a few different apps. So make sure they have specifically the OmegaRecruit app, and that's the one they're using to log in. And if they're still having issues, I would just highly suggest they reach out to login support as well. But I would agree with Heather on the other things also. Make sure you're able to log in on the browser, you're having the correct app, and you're using the same username and password.
That's a great point, yes, because we do have an OmegaRecruit app, Omega One app, my OmegaFi app, so that can get confusing if you're out there in the App Store or Google Play. We want to make sure that they're using the right one. That's a common mistake. I've forgotten about that. Okay, let me see if there's any more here. We can go ahead. Avery asks, just to clarify, the master reset does not delete users, only PNMs. Is that correct?
Yes, so it's going to clear out any information like your parties, your rounds, PNMs that you've loaded into the system. So all your users are going to remain. They're still going to have the ability to log in. The only master reset that takes out the users is the one that we do in our system during the summer, which we've already had that for now, and you'll get lots of email communications before the next one happens.
Yes, good point. Okay. Cody is asking about how do we set up our admin account. Wonder if we need to go back into OmegaRecruit to show that. Or do you feel like you can talk through it, Sarah Beth?
Yeah, I can definitely take it back to that. When you're looking at your users, you can make them an admin here. Now, if you guys are new to OmegaRecruit in general, or if you have a new admin who's no longer on here that needs to be added, what may need to happen is reach out to login support or software support to get your updated admin into the system. Or if it's somebody who was previously an admin and you just need to be added, then they can add you as a user, make you an admin, and you'll be able to access this information. The on the PowerPoint from earlier, hold on, the email that you receive for admin activation looks like this, and this is to set up your OmegaRecruit as an admin. So that's how you're going to receive that. But essentially, if you're not already an admin, if you're already a user in the system, they can just check to make you an admin. Or if you need to be added by a current admin because you're not yet a user in the system since the master reset, then they can add you and mark you as an admin to where you'll have all those capabilities.
Great, thank you. There's one more about, is the email the same as the OmegaFi login? And so the answer to that is, I'm sorry, Antonia, that is that it depends. So most of the time it is is your email address. It would be important to make sure that you're looking at the user list and here in OmegaRecruit and seeing what email address was used when that was set up. Thank you for clicking on that, Sarah Beth.
Yeah.
And then when you go to set up your login, enter your email address that's here as your username. And we have lots of login articles on our website to help with any troubleshooting. Were you about to say something else, Sarah Beth? I might have interrupted you.
No, you're good. I was just, I would just add to that if you know what your login is for your My OmegaFi, just confirm with your admin, well, you guys are admins, but just confirm that when you're being added as a user, that they're using the same as their My OmegaFi. So when you're adding your members in, if you can just have them verify that it's the same email that they normally log into their My OmegaFi with, that can help cut down on various different emails being used and having basically separate logins and accounts.
Gotcha. All right. We really appreciate everybody attending today. As Sarah Beth mentioned, we have several other webinars that are happening later this month and in July. It will be the same content that we covered today, but certainly we welcome everybody to attend as many webinars as you want to, and also make sure to share the recording with anyone else in your chapter that you feel would benefit from the training. So once again, we appreciate everybody attending today, and best wishes and good luck with recruitment this year. Thank you all.